The Galactic Civil War between the Rebel Alliance, later the New Republic, and the Galactic Empire is one of the most iconic and longest-lasting wars in Star Wars lore, possibly also one of the best-known wars across all of fiction. Today we're going to be talking about the last battle in that war, the Battle of Yaga Minor. Another related battle was occurring at about the same time over Bothawui, which we'll cover in another video later if people are interested. While the Battle of Yaga Minor was not one of the larger battles in terms of fleet sizes on either side, it held a lot of significance for various other reasons which we'll talk about today. The lead up to the Battle of Yaga Minor, which occurred in the year 19 after the Battle of Yavin, or ABY, was a period of uncertainty for both the Imperial Remnant and the New Republic. The Empire had been whittled down to only 8 sectors and 1,000 inhabited systems on the edge of the known galaxy, and many within the Empire, including Imperial Supreme Commander Gilad Pellaeon, believed it was time to sue for peace. They had been reduced to only one major shipyard, and many of the remaining 200 Star Destroyers, having started from around 25,000, had been forced to move from using Imperial-produced TIEs to the Sourasub Prey Bird. While the New Republic had been winning the war militarily for the better part of a decade, with only a few major defeats since the end of the Reborn Emperor's Operation Shadowhand from 10 to 11 ABY, the political realities of governing the majority of the galaxy were beginning to take their toll, and conflicts had begun to flare up between individual member species and sectors. The Corellian Crisis of 18 ABY, which we touched on in our video on Corellian independence movements earlier on in the channel, was one of the major examples of these kinds of tensions flaring up, but there were many other more local conflicts. While many Imperials, including Gilad Pellaeon, were hoping that peace could be achieved with the current borders and that the New Republic and Empire would learn to coexist, some within the Empire were convinced they could reverse their fortunes and were intent on furthering the discontent within the New Republic, and undermining Pellaeon's authority as Supreme Commander within the Empire. Chief among these figures were Moff Willem Dizra of the Braxton sector, Imperial Guardsman Grodin Tierce, who was actually a clone of the original Grodin Tierce, and a con artist named Flim. This clone of Tierce had some of Thrawn's strategic genius transferred him through some of the flash learning that clones underwent, as part of a broader cloning program Thrawn had been attempting on Wayland using secret cloning facilities set up by Palpatine. These three, known within legends as the Sinister Triumvirate, were planning to use Tierce's strategic acumen and Flim's acting skills to convince the galaxy that Grand Admiral Thrawn had returned. At this same time, the discontent in the Republic was being furthered by an incident known as the Kemal Document Crisis. Decades earlier, after the end of the Clone Wars, a planet named Kamas had been bombarded into a lifeless and desolate planet, killing almost all Kamasi in the galaxy. The Battle of Yaga Minor was organized in this context to help bring an end to the Kamas crisis. Yaga Minor was home to an Imperial intelligence base, known as Ubiquitate Base, the Ubiquitate being the highest level of Imperial intelligence. The New Republic hoped that a successful raid would allow them to gain a full copy of the Kamas document, which they hoped would allow them to get a list of Bothans who were directly involved and diffuse the tensions by bringing any who were still alive to justice. This would, ideally, stop others from holding all Bothans accountable. The raid on Yaga Minor was only being organized as one possible way to accomplish that goal, with other attempts including Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade's journey to find the mysterious Hand of Thrawn. The battle was planned and led on the New Republic side by a character we covered on the channel last week, Garm Bel Iblis. Garm's fleet was supposedly being stationed near Kothlis to prevent any attempt of an attack on Bothawui. In reality, Bel Iblis had convinced Booster Tarek, a smuggler who had ties to the New Republic and more importantly his own personal Star Destroyer, the Aaron Venture, to allow Bel Iblis to use that Star Destroyer to lead a task force to Yaga Minor. The Aaron Venture would be refit and would claim to be an actual Imperial Star Destroyer, the Tyrannic, and gain access to the base that way, claiming to be running from a New Republic strike force chasing them to the system. These supporting ships from the New Republic fleet would maintain a position on the perimeter of the system, engaging system defenses from afar. Unfortunately for Bel Iblis and Booster Tarek, the Triumvirate was present on the Imperial Star Destroyer Relentless at Yaga Minor, and had already ordered the real Tyrannic to be stationed with a cloaking device at Bothawui, where it was preparing to take part in the upcoming Battle of Bothawui, so they were aware that the air adventure was fake from the start. Flim, as Thrawn, responded by using the base's tractor beams to lock the air adventure in place, and Beliblis began formulating a plan to shoot the tractor beams and ram Relentless, correctly surmising that Thrawn intended to take them prisoner and capture the air adventure. This, Beliblis hoped, would allow slicers from the air adventure to make it into the base, and then allow them to get the copy of the Kemal document, even if it meant their own deaths. While Beliblis fought to break free of the tractor beams, Admiral Pellaeon had come aboard the Relentless with the help of another smuggler, Talon Karrde. Once aboard, he confronted Dizra and exposed Tierce as a clone, as well as Thrawn as the con artist Flim. He then assumed command of the Imperial forces at Yaga Minor. Pellaeon told Flim, still posing as Thrawn, to order all Imperial forces to cease fire and asked Beliblis to do the same. The Battle of Yaga Minor didn't result in the recovery of the Kemal document as the New Republic had hoped, and without Pellaeon's intervention it could easily have resulted in the loss of one of their most decorated commanders. It did, however, result in the exposure of the fake Thrawn, and allowed Pellaeon the leverage he needed to propose peace with the New Republic, which he initially discussed at Yaga Minor with Beliblis, and which was formalized in the Pellaeon-Gavrisum Treaty 15 days later. The Kemal document was recovered instead by the work of Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade on Nerowan, where they discovered that the Hand of Thrawn was actually a home base for Thrawn's own secret empire, the Empire of the Hand, which I will absolutely be doing a video on in the future. It's one of my favorite factions in Star Wars. The exposure of Dizra's manipulations at Yaga Minor, and the information of the Kemal document allowed the New Republic to ease tensions and move back from the brink of civil war. Most importantly, in payment for allowing the New Republic to use the errant venture, Tarek requested the New Republic allow him to keep the weapons they had added to the ship for the operation, and additionally the New Republic had to paint the entire Star Destroyer red, which was, as the kids say, pretty nifty. I hope you've enjoyed this first battle-related video on the channel. Not the most military action-focused battle breakdown, but I'm sure that will come in the future. If you've enjoyed the video, please leave a like or subscribe for more. It really helps the channel grow, and if you have any suggestions for future video topics or any feedback on the video itself, please leave it in the comments or check the channel's community page for polls. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you next time.